Let me play a game before we. Is it gonna work now?
Redo. I mean, the Bible, I only did like 2 verses, so I'm not that worried. And he didn't really say much. So, as I was reading, I was like, well, he's not saying much. And I got a deck out of that, so it's pretty good. Little snakes. Nimrod, throwing down Nimrod. He goes pro. Well done. We'll get this done right. And I didn't like Plato either. I didn't really like that one. This trial. We're at trial, bro. Dude, I don't want to be in the middle of your trial. Come on. Bro. So what happened was, I think my foot had ripped the cord out. But, I mean, look, it's working, so. Boys. A mistake well made. So, back to Canto. 32. Ninth circle, traders, first ring. Cana, counts of Mangana. Commission. De Pazzi, second ring. Antonora. Balcandelli, Abadi. Hueso, da Duera. Count Uglino. If I had rhymes both harsh and ruckus, such as I would befit this dismal hole on which thrusts all the other rocks, I would press out the juice of my conception more fully, but since I have them not without fear I bring myself to speak. For to describe the bottom of the whole universe is no enterprise to take up in jest, nor for a tongue that cries mama or babo. But may those dames aid my verse who aided Amphion to close in Thebes, so that from the fact the speech be not diverse. Is this Leonardo? Madonna on the Rocks? Excuse me for interrupting. I'm trying to wait till the paragraph is over. This sounds like Madonna on the Rocks was being done. Hello. I'll have to look up all the artists and the painters. But I think we're all aware of Madonna on the Rocks. O populace, miscreant above all, that art in the place whereof to speak is hard. Better had ye been here, or sheep or goats. When we were down in the dark abyss, beneath the feet of the giant, but far lower, and I was gazing still at the high wall, I heard say to me, Beware how thou steppest. Take heed thou trample not with thy souls the heads of the wretched weary brethren. Whereat I turned, and saw before me, and under my feet, a lake, which through frost had semblance of glass, and not of water. The Danube in Austria makes not for its current so thick a veil in winter, nor the dawn yonder under the cold sky, as there was here. For if Tambernick had fallen thereupon, or Petrapana, it would not even at the edge have given a creek. And as to croak the frog lies with muzzle out of the water, what time oft dreams the peasant girl of gleaming, so livid up to where shame appears, were the woeful shades within the eyes, set in their teeth to the note of the stork. Every one held his face turned downward, from the mouth the cold, and from the eyes the sad heart compels witness of itself among them. When I had looked round a while, I turned to my feet and saw two so close that they had the hair of their heads mixed together. Tell me, ye who to press tight their breast, said I, who are ye? And they bent their necks, and after they had raised their faces to me, their eyes, which before were moist only within, gushed up through the lids, and the frost bound the tears between them, and locked them up again. Clamp never girt board to board so strongly, wherefore they like two he-goats butted together, such anger overcame them. And one who had lost both his ears through the coals, still with his face downward, said to me, Why dost thou so mirror thyself on us? If thou wouldst know who are these two, the valley which the Picencio descends belong to their father Albert, and to them. From one body they issued in all Cana, thou mayest search, and thou wilt not find shade more worthy to be fixed in ice. Not he whose breast and shadow were broken by one and the same blow by the hand of Arthur, not Phocaea, not he who encumbers me with his head, so that I cannot see beyond, and was named Cecil Mascheroni. If thou art Tuscan, well knowest thou now who he was, and that thou mayest not put me to more speech. Know that I was Commission de Pazzi, and I await Carlino, that he may exonerate me. I'll start over here with Socrates on 51, Plato's Euthyphro, for text from Socrates. Socrates, then they will not say anything at all, for I suppose they don't care to dispute by saying that even if they have done injustice, they need not pay for penalty. Instead, I suppose they assert that they haven't done injustice, don't they? Euthyphro, what you say is true. Socrates, then they don't dispute by claiming that the doer of injustice need not pay the penalty. Instead, they perhaps dispute who the doer of injustice is, and what he did, and when. Euthyphro, what you say is true. Socrates, aren't the gods also affected in the same way, if they do in fact quarrel about the just and unjust things, as your argument says? Don't some of them assert that others do injustice, while the others deny it? For surely you wondrous man, no god or human being dares to say that the doer of injustice ought not to pay the penalty. Euthyphro, yes, in this, Socrates, what you say is true, at least in the main. Socrates, but I suppose, Euthyphro, that the disputants dispute about each of the particular things done, both human beings and gods, if gods do dispute. They differ about a certain action, some asserting that it was done justly, others unjustly. Isn't this so? Euthyphro, quite so. The arc. I can see a shadow of you, penguin. Random penguin house. It's pointing the finger at me. Oh, I appreciate you. Socrates, come then, my dear Euthyphro, teach me too, so that I may become wiser. What your proof is that all gods believe that man died unjustly, who while serving to hire became a murderer, and then bound by the master of the man who died, met his end because of his bonds, before the one who bound him found out from the exegetes what he should do about him, and that it is correct for a son to proceed against his father and denounce him for murder on behalf of someone of this sort. Come, try to show me in some way plainly about these things, that all gods believe more than anything this action is correct. And if you show me sufficiently, I will never stop extolling you for wisdom. Perhaps Euthyphro, but perhaps it is no small work, Socrates, although I could display it to you quite plainly. Socrates, I understand. It's because I seem to you to be poorer at learning than the judges, since clearly you will show them that such things are unjust, and that all the gods hate them. Euthyphro, quite plainly, Socrates, at least if they do listen to me when I speak. Socrates, they will listen, if you do seem to speak well. But while you were speaking, I thought of the following, and I am considering it with regard to myself. Even if Euthyphro should teach me that all gods believe that such a death is unjust, what more will I have learned from Euthyphro about whatever the pious and the impious are? For although this deed would be hateful to the gods, as is likely, it became apparent just now that the pious and the not pious are not defined by this, for it became apparent that the hateful to the gods is also dear to the gods. So I will let you off from this, Euthyphro. If you wish, let all the gods believe it unjust, and let all hate it. But is this the correction that we are now making in the argument? That whatever all the gods hate is impious, and whatever they love is pious? But whatever some love and others hate is neither or both? Is this how you now wish it to be defined by us concerning the pious and the impious? Juno? First of all, the gods have already passed, so you're past the gods of the creation of the gods, right? How did that go? I want to know about that. You're talking about a trial about this. I don't know about that. So, Euthyphro, yes. For what permits it, Socrates? A rebellion. Socrates, nothing on my part, Euthyphro, but consider on your part whether by positing this you will most easily teach me what you promised. Euthyphro, well, I would say that the pious is whatever all the gods love, and that the opposite, whatever all gods hate, is impious. Socrates, so shouldn't we consider again, Euthyphro, whether this is said nobly, or should we let it go and just accept what we ourselves and others say, conceding that something is so if only someone asserts that it is? Or ought we to consider what the speaker says? Euthyphro, it ought to be considered, however, I suppose that this is now said nobly. Socrates, soon, my good man, we will know better. Think about something like the following. Is the pious loved by the gods because it is pious, or is it pious because it is loved? Euthyphro, I don't know what you were saying, Socrates. Socrates, then I will try to explain more plainly. We speak of something carried and carrying, and of led and leading, and seen and seen. And do you understand all such things are different from each other and how they are different? It seems to me that I understand, Socrates, and isn't there also something loved and different from this? The thing loving? Euthyphro, of course. Socrates, then tell me, is the thing carried something carried because it is carried or because of something else? Euthyphro, no, it is because of this. Socrates, and the thing led because it is led, and the thing seen because it is seen. Euthyphro, quite so. Socrates, then it isn't because it is something seen that it is seen, but the opposite because it is seen, it is something seen. Nor is it because it is something led that is led, rather because it is led, it is something led. Nor because it is something carried, it is carried, rather because it is carried, it is something carried. Isn't it quite clear, Euthyphro, what I wish to say? I wish to say that if something comes to be something or is affected, it isn't because it is something coming to be done that it comes to be, but because it comes to be, it is something coming to be. Nor because it is something affected, is it affected. Rather, because it is affected, it is something affected, or don't you concede that this is so? Brahmin. Bro. Objection. Although a thing may change, yet since the notion of its identity abides, it is eternal. Reply, no. For change in thing implies that it is parts become otherwise. Objection. Suppose we say that the same self is eternal. Reply, not so. For a thing that has parts is produced by the combination, hence they may divide again. Objection. It is wrong, for we do not see this in thunder, for instance. Not so, for we can easily infer that if that it must have been preceded by combination. Therefore the self cannot be proved to have transitory attributes like misery. Objection. If the Supreme Self has no misery, and there is no other entity to be miserable, then it is useless for the Scriptures to try to remove misery. Reply, not so, for they are meant to remove the false notion of misery superimposed by ignorance. And the self being admitted to imagine itself is miserable, the Scriptures help to remove that error, as in the case of the failure to count the 10th man, although he was there. Like the reflection of the sun, etc., in water, the entrance of the self means only its being perceived like a reflection in the differentiated universe, because the manifestation of the latter of the self is not perceived, but after it is manifested, the self is perceived within the intellect, like the reflection of the sun, etc., in water, and the like. Because it is thus perceived as having entered, as it were, into the universe after manifesting it, it is indicating in such terms as the following. This self has entered into these bodies, after projecting it, the self entered it. Piercing this dividing line of the head, it entered through that gate, and that deity existing thought, well, let me enter into these three gods, fire, water, and earth, as this individual self, etc. The all-pervading self, which is without parts, can never be supposed to enter in the sense of leaving a certain quarter place or time and being joined to new ones, nor is there, as we have said, any other seer but the Supreme Self, as is testified by such Shruti texts as, there is no other witness but this, no other hearer but this, etc. The passages delineating the projection of the universe and the entrance of the self into it, as well as its continuance and dissolution, serve only as aids to the realization of the self, for this is described in the Shrutis as the highest end of man. Witness such texts as the following. It knew only itself, therefore it became all. The knower of Brahman attains the highest. He who knows that Supreme Brahman becomes Brahman. He only knows who has got a teacher. It takes him only so long as he does not give up the body, etc. And the smith, then knowing me truly, he enters into me. That self-knowledge is the chief of all knowledge, for it leads to immortality. Besides, since duality has been repudiated, the passages delineated the manifestation, etc., of the universe can have the sole aim of helping the realization of the unity of the self. Therefore, we conclude that the entrance of the self into the universe is but a metaphorical way of stating that it is perceived in the midst of the latter. Yes. I'm assuming it is working, yes. Chapter 44 of Isaiah, Ishmael, David, all of the above. The words itself spoken is what he's talking about. They would not have existed, you see? Chapter 44. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus said the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou, Jeshurun, whom I have chosen. For I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon the dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessing upon thy offspring. And they shall spring up as among the grass, as willows by the watercourses. One shall say, I am the Lord's, and another shall call himself by the name of Jacob, and another shall subscribe with his hand unto the Lord, and surname himself by the name of Israel. Thus said the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am the first, and I am the last, and beside me there is no God. And who, as I shall call, and shall declare it, and set it in order for me, since I appointed the ancient people, and the things that are coming and shall come, let them shew unto them. Fear ye not, neither be afraid. Have not I told thee from that time, and have declared it? Ye are even my witnesses. Is there a God beside me? Yea, there is no God, I know, not any. They that make a graven image are all of them vanity, and their delectable things shall not profit, and they are their own witnesses. They see not, nor know, that they may be ashamed. Who hath formed a god, or molten a graven image, that is profitable for nothing? Behold, all his fellows shall be ashamed, and the workmen, they are men. Let them all be gathered together, let them stand up, yet they shall fear, and they shall be ashamed together. The smith with the tongs both worketh in the coals, and fashioneth it with hammers, and worketh it with the strength of his arms. Yea, he is hungry, and his strength faileth. He drinketh no water, and is faint. The carpenter stretcheth out his rule, he marketh it out with a line, he fitteth it with planes, and he marketh it out with a compass, and maketh it after the future of a man, according to the beauty of a man, that it may remain in the house. He heweth him down cedars, and taketh the cypress, and the oak, which he strengtheneth for himself among the trees of the forest. He planteth an ash, and the rain doth nourish it. Then shall it be for a man to burn, for he will take thereof, and warm himself. Yea, he kindleth it, and baketh bread. Yea, he maketh a god, and worshippeth it. He maketh it a graven image, and falleth down thereto. He burneth part therefore in the fire, with part therefore he eateth flesh. He roasteth roast, and is satisfied. Yea, he warmeth himself, and saith, Aha, I am warm, I have seen the fire. And the residue thereof he maketh a god, even his graven image. He falleth down unto it, and worshippeth it, and prayeth unto it, and saith, Deliver me, for thou art my God. They have not known, nor understood, for he hath shut their eyes, that they cannot see, and their hearts, that they cannot understand. And none considereth in his heart, neither is there knowledge for understanding, to say, I have burned part of it in the fire. Yea, also I have baked bread upon the coals thereof. I have roasted flesh, and eaten it. And shall I make the residue thereof an abomination? Shall I fall down to the stock of a tree? He feedeth on ashes. A deceived heart hath turned him aside, that he cannot deliver his soul, nor say, Is there not a lie in my right hand? Remember these, O Jacob, and Israel, for thou art my servant. I have formed thee, thou art my servant, O Israel, thou shalt not be forgotten of me. I have blotted out as a thick cloud thy transgressions, and as a cloud thy sins. Return unto me, for I have redeemed thee. Sing, O ye heavens, for the Lord hath done it. Shout, ye lower parts of the earth. Break forth in a singing, ye mountains, O forests, and every tree therein, for the Lord hath redeemed Jacob, and glorified himself in Israel. Thus said the Lord thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee from the womb. I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself, that frustrateth the tokens of the liars, and maketh diviners mad, that turneth wise men backward, and maketh their knowledge foolish, that confirmeth the word of his servant, and performeth the counsel of his messengers, that saith to Jerusalem, Thou shalt be inhabited, and to the cities of Judah ye shall be built, and I will raise up the decayed places whereof. That saith to the deep, Be dry, and I will dry up the rivers. That saith to Cyrus, He is my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasure. Even saying to Jerusalem, Thou shalt be built, and to the temple thy foundation shall be laid. Again, we have separation of church and state here before we begin this, but we appreciate your words and condolences here. To Reverend William Gordon, Mount Vernon, August 31st, 1785. Dear Sir, in my absence from home on a tour up this river, to view the nature of it and to direct the improvements agreeable, the acts of assemblies of Virginia and Maryland, the enclosed from the letter book copying the Washington papers. Memoirs arrived here, covered by a letter of which the following is an extract from a member of Congress. As I am fully persuaded it is your wish to transmit to posterity a true history of the Revolution, and of course you desire to receive every information which will enable you to do justice to the principal actors therein, it cannot be unpleasing to you to receive a narrative of unadorned facts which serve to bring forward circumstances which, in some measure, may be unknown to you. I therefore make no apology for transmitting the enclosed, nor shall I do more than hint to you the propriety of keeping the Marquis's wishes in this business behind the curtain. Your own good sense must dictate the measure, and furnish the reason for it. The noble, conspicuous, and disinterested part which this nobleman has acted on the American theater deserves all the gratitude which this country can render him, and all the elegy which the pen of a faithful historian can bestow, with this appearing to be the object of his wishes. The family is as well as usual. Mrs. Stewart has been sick, but is now getting better. Mrs. Washington does not enjoy good health, but joins me in the respects to Mrs. Gordon, etc. Communications therein contained, I thank you. My best wishes will always accompany your undertakings, but remember, my dear friend, it is part of the military art to reconnoitre and feel your way before you engage too deeply. More is oftentimes effected by regular approaches than by an open assault. From the first two, you may make good retreat. From the latter, in case of repulse, it rarely happens. It is to be hoped that Mr. Adams will bring the British ministry to some explanation respecting the Western Post. Nothing else can I conceive disturb the tranquillity of these states, but if I am mistaken in this conjecture, you know my sentiments of and friendship for you too well to doubt my inclination to serve you to the utmost of your wishes and my powers. It gives me very singular pleasure to find the court of France relaxing in their demand of long champs. To have persisted in it would have been a very embarrassing measure to this country and under the laws of the Constitution of the federal government, and those of the several parts which compose it. The hounds, which you were so obliging as to send me, arrived safe, and are of promising appearance, to Monsieur le Comte d'Illemison. If I must call him, your handwriting is to blame, and in honor you are bound to rectify the error. And in a special manner, to his fair competence, my thanks are due for this favor. The enclosed letter which I give you the trouble of forwarding contains my acknowledgment of their obliging attention to me on this occasion. If I recollect right, the letter which was written by the Marquis de St. Simon was on the business of Cincinnati and was laid before the general meeting in Philadelphia in May 1784. Consequently, the answer must have proceeded from the society either especially to him or generally through the Counts d'Estaing and Rochambeau, who were written to as the heads of the naval and military members of the society in France. But as all the papers relative to the business of the society were deposited in the care of the Secretary General Knox, or the Assistant Secretary Williams, I have them not to refer to, but will make inquiry, inform you, or the Marquis de St. Simon more particularly of the result. Your constant attention and unwearied endeavors to serve the interests of these United States cannot fail to keep alive in them a grateful sensibility of it, and the affectionate regard of all the citizens for you. The footing on which you have established a market for whale oil must be equally pleasing and advantageous to the states which are more immediately engaged in that commerce. I have heard nothing further of the jacks, which were to be sent to me from Spain, and which by Mr. Carmichael's letter enclosing one from the Count de Florida Blanca of the 3rd December, were actually purchased for me at that date. I am at a loss to account for the delay. I am apprehensive of some accident. Be this as it may, if you could, my dear Marquis, through the medium of Admiral Suffren, or by any other means that would not be troublesome, procure me a male or female, or one of the former and two of the latter, upon the terms mentioned in your letter of the 3rd of May. I should think it a very fortunate event, and should feel myself greatly indebted to your friendship. The mules which proceed from the mixture of these animals with the horse are so much more valuable under the care which is usually bestowed on drought cattle by our negroes, that I am daily more anxious to obtain the means for propagating them. When George returns from the Springs and gets a little fixed, I will set him about copying your letters to me, which will be better than to hazard the originals at sea, where an accident might occasion the loss of them to both of us. In my last, I informed you of his intended marriage, which I suppose will take place in the early part of the next month. I should have given an earlier acknowledgment of your letters of the 11th and 13th of May aforementioned, had I been at home when they had come to this place. But at that time I was on a tour up this river with the directors Johnson, Lee, Fitzgerald, and Gilpin, to examine the obstructions and to fix upon a plan of operations, which having done, we commenced our labors on the 5th of last month under a full persuasion that the work will not prove more arduous than we had conceived before the difficulties were explored. The James River Company, by my last account from Richmond, is formed. A meeting of the members was summoned to be held on the 20th of last month. But what the determinations of it were, I have not yet heard, nor so barren are the times. Have I a tittle of news to communicate to you? The several assemblies are in their recesses, but will be addressed, I presume, at their autumnal meetings by the commercial interests of the United States to vest powers in Congress to regulate the trade of the Union, which they see clearly must be directed by one head in order to obtain consistency and respectability at home and abroad. I am, etc. Thank you, sir. Canto. Oh, excuse me. When I had looked round a while, I turned to my feet, and saw two so close that they had the hair of their heads mixed together. Tell me, ye who so press tight your breast, said I, who are ye? And they bent their necks, and after they had raised their faces to me, their eyes, which before were moist only within, gushed up through the lids, and frost bound, and tears between them, and locked them up again. Clamp never girt board to board so strongly, or for they like two he-goats butted together, such anger overcame them. And one who had lost both his ears through the cold, still with his face downward, said to me, Why dost thou so mirror thyself on us? If thou wouldst know who are these two, the valley whence the Vicencio descends belong to their father Albert, and to them. From one body they issued in all Cana. Thou mayst search, and thou wilt not find shade more worthy to be fixed in ice. Not he whose breast and shadow were broken by one and the same blow by the hand of Arthur. Not Phocacia, not he who encumbers me with his head so that I cannot see beyond, and was named Cecole Mascheroni. If thou art Tuscan, well knowest thou now who he was. And that thou mayst not put me to more speech, know that I was Camption de Pazzi, and I wait Carlino that he may exonerate me. Then I saw 1,000 faces made currish by the cold, whence shuddering comes to me, and will always comes at frozen pools. And while we were going towards the center to which tends every weight, and I was trembling in the eternal shade, whether it was will or destiny or fortune I know not, but, walking among the heads, I struck thy foot hard in the face of one. Wailing, he cried out to me, Why dost thou trample me? If thou comest not to increase the vengeance of Mount Apariti, why dost thou molest me? And I, My master, now wait here for me, so that I may free me from a doubt by means of this one. Then thou shalt make me hasten as much as thou wilt. The leader stopped, and I said to the shade, who was bitterly blaspheming still, Who art thou that thus railest at another? Now thou, who art thou that goest through the Antenora? He answered, smiting the cheeks of others, so that if thou wert alive, it would be too much. Alive I am, and it may be dear to thee, was my reply. If thou demandest fame, that I should set thy name amidst the other notes. And he to me, For the contrary do I long. Take thyself hence, and give me no more trouble, for ill thou knowest to flatter on this plain. Then I took him by the hair of the crown, and said, It shall needs me that thou name thyself, or that not a hair remain upon thee here. Whereon he to me, Though thou strip me of hair, I will not tell thee who I am, nor will I show it to thee if 1,000 times thou fallest on my head. I already had his hair twisted in my hand, and had pulled out more than one shock, he barking, with his eyes kept close down, when another cried out, What ails thee, Boca? Is it not enough for thee to make music with thy jaws, but thou must bark? What devil has hold of thee? Now, said I would not have thee speak, accursed traitor, for to thy shame will I carry true news of thee. Begone, he answered, and relate what thou wilt, but be not silent, if from here within thou goest forth, of him who now had his tongue so ready. He weeps here the money of the French. I saw thou canst say of him, of Dura. there where the sinners stand cooling. Shouldst thou be asked who else was there, thou hast at thy side that Baccheria, whose gorget Florence cut, Gianni da Sojourner. I think it's further on with Ganelin and Trebadella, who opened Faenza when it was sleeping. We had now parted from him when I saw two frozen in one hole, so that the head of one was a hood for the other. And as bread is devoured in hunger, so that the uppermost one set his teeth upon the other, where the brain joins with the nape. Not otherwise Titius gnawed for spite the temples of Menopolis. Then this one did the skull and the other parts. O thou, that by so bestial a sign showest hatred against him who thou dost eat, tell me there wherefore, said I, with the compact that if thou rightfully of him complainest, I knowing who ye are and his sin, may yet recompense thee for it in the world above, if that with which I speak be not dried up. Canto 33. Ninth circle, traitors, second ring, Antenora, Count Ugolino, third ring, Ptolemy, brother of Barigo, Brene de Orio. From his savage repast that sinner raised, this mouth wiping it with the hair of the head that he had spoiled behind, then he began. Thou willst that I renew a desperate grief that oppresses my heart already only in thinking ere I speak of it. But if my words are to be seed that may bear fruit of infamy for the traitor whom I gnaw, thou shalt see me speak and weep at once. I know not who thou art, nor by what mode thou art come down hither, but Florentine thou seemest to me truly when I hear thee. Thou hast to know what I was the Count Ugolino, and he that Archbishop Ruggieri. Now will I tell thee why I am such a neighbor, that by the effect of his evil thoughts, I, trusting in him, was taken and then put to death. There is no need to tell, but that which thou canst not have heard, namely how cruel was my death. Thou shalt hear, and thou shalt know if he hath wronged me. A narrow slit in the mew, which from me has the name of famine, and in which others yet must be shut up, and already shown me through its opening many moons, when I had the bad dream that rent from me the veil of the future. This one appeared to me master and lord, chasing the wolf and his whelps upon the mountain, for which the pistons cannot see, Luca. With lean, eager, and trained hounds, Galandi and Sismondi, and with Lanfranchi, he had put before him at the front. After a short course, the father and his son seemed to me weary, and it seemed to me I saw their flanks torn by the sharp fangs. When I awoke before the morrow, I heard my sons, who were with me, wailing in their sleep, and asking for bread. Truly thou art cruel if already thou grievest not, thinking on what my heart foretold. And if thou weepest not, at what art thou wont to weep? Now they were awake, and the hour drew near when food was wont to be brought to us. And because of his dream, each one was apprehensive. And I heard the door below the horrible tower locking up, whereat I looked on the faces of my sons without saying a word. I wept not. I was so turned to stone within. They wept, and my poor little Anselm said, Thou lookest so, father, what aileth thee? Yet I did not weep, nor did I answer all that day, nor the night after, until the next sun came out upon the world. When a little ray entered the woeful prison, and I discerned by their four faces my own very aspect, both my hands and eye bit for woe. And they, thank God I did it through desire of eating, of a sudden rose and said, Father, it will be far less pain to us if thou eat of us. Thou didst clothe us with this wretched flesh, and do thou strip it off. I quieted me then, not to make them more sad. That day and the next we all stayed dumb. Ah, thou hard earth, why didst thou not open? After we had come to the fourth day, Gatto threw himself stretched out at my feet, saying, My father, why dost thou not help me? Here he died, and even as thou seest me, I saw the three fall one by one between the fifth day and the sixth. Then I betook me, already blind, to groping over each. In 2 days I called them after they were dead. Then fasting had more power than grief. When he had said this, with his eyes distorted, he seized again the wretched skull with his teeth, that were strong as a dog's upon the bone. Ah, Pisa! Reproach to the people of the fair country where the sea doth sound, since thy neighbor are slow to punish thee, let Caprera and Gorgona move and make a hedge for Arno at its mouth, so that it draw on every person in thee. For if Count Uglino had repute of having betrayed thee in thy towns, thou oughtest not to have set his sons on such a cross. Their young age thou modern Thebes made Uguchun and the Brigada innocent, and the other two that the song names above. We pass onward to where the ice roughly enswathes another folk, not turned downward, but all upon their backs. Their very weeping lets them not weep, and the pain that finds a bitter on the eyes turn inward to increase the anguish. For the first tears form a block, and like a visor of crystal, fill all the cup beneath the eyebrow. And although because of the cold, as from a callus, all feeling had left its abode in my face, it now seemed to me I felt some wind, wherefore my master, who moves this? Is not every vapor quenched here below? Whereon he to me, speedily shalt thou be, where thy eye shall make answer to thee of this, beholding the cause that rains down the blast. One of the wretches of the cold crush cried out to us, O soul so cruel that the last station is given to you, lift from my eye the hard veils, so that I may vent the grief that swells my heart, a little ere the weeping wreck congeal. Wherefore I to him, if thou wilt that I relieve thee, tell me who thou art, and if I rid thee not, may it be mine to go to the bottom of the ice. He replied then, I am Friar Alberigo. I am he of the fruits of the bad garden, and here I receive a date for a fig. Oh, said I to him, art thou now already dead? And he to me, how it may go with my body in the world above, I bear no ledge. Such vantage hath this Ptolemy, that oftentimes the soul falls hither ere Atropos hath given motion to it, and that thou may be more villainly Serape the glassy tears from out thy face. Know that soon as the soul betrays, as I did, its body is taken from it by a demon, who thereafter governs it until it's time to be all revolved. The soul falls headlong to this cistern, and perchance the body of the shade that here behind me witners still appear above. Thou oughtest to know him if thou comest down but now. He is Sir Branca de Oria, and many years have passed since he was thus shut up. I think, said I to him, that thou deceivest me of Branca de Oria is not yet dead, and he eats and drinks and sleeps and puts on clothes. In the ditch of the Malbranche above, he said, there where the tenacious pitch is boiling, Michael Zanche had not yet arrived when this one left in his own stead a devil in his body and in that of one of his near kin, who committed the treachery together with him. But now stretch out hither thy hand, open my eyes for me, and I opened them not for him, and to be rude to him was courtesy. O Genoise, men strange to all morality, and full of all corruption, why are ye not scattered from the world? For with the worst spirit of Romagna I found one of you such that for his deeds, his soul, he is bathed in cactus, and in body he seems still alive on earth. Euphro, yes. For what prevents it, Socrates? Socrates, nothing on my part, Euphro, but consider on your part whether by positing this you will most easily teach me what you promised. Euphro, well, I should say that the pious is whatever all the gods love, and that the opposite, whatever all gods hate, is impious. Okay. Euphro, I do. Socrates, and isn't the thing loved either something coming to be or something affected by something? Euphro, quite so. Socrates, then this too is just like the previous ones, not because it is something loved. Is it loved by those by whom it is loved, but because it is loved, it is something loved, necessarily. Now, what are we saying about the pious, Euphro? Isn't it loved by all gods, as your argument says? Yes. Because it is pious, or because of something else? No, it's because of this. Then it is loved because it is pious, rather than pious because it is loved? It's likely. But in fact, just because it is loved by gods, it is something loved and dear to the gods. Of course. Then the deer to the gods is not pious, you throw, nor is the pious deer to the gods, as you say, but the one is different from the other. The pussycat? Mm-hmm. You throw. How so, Socrates? Because we agree that the pious is loved because it is pious, not that it is pious because it is loved, don't we? Yes. And further, that the dear to the gods, because it is loved by gods, is dear to the gods by this very fact of being loved, and not that it is loved because it is dear to the gods. What you say is true. But if the dear to the gods and the pious were the same, my dear Euthro, then, on the other hand, if the pious were loved because of being pious, the dear to the gods would also be loved because of being dear to the gods, and on the other hand, if the dear to the gods were dear to the gods because of being loved by gods, the pious would also be pious because of being loved. But as it is now, you see that the two are opposite, since they are entirely different from each other, for that one, because it is loved, is the sort of thing to be loved. The other, because it is the sort of thing to be loved, is loved. And probably, Euthro, when you are asked whatever the pious is, you don't wish to make clear to me its substance, but rather to speak of a certain affection. Concerning the pious is affected in being loved by all gods. What is it? You haven't yet said. So if you please, don't hide it from me. But say again from the beginning whatever the pious is, whether it is loved by gods or however it is affected, for we won't differ about this. But tell me eagerly, what are the pious and the impious? But Socrates, I have no way of telling you what I have in mind. For whatever we put forward somehow always keeps going around for us and isn't willing to say where we place it. The things said by you, Euthro, are likely belong to our ancestor Daedalus, and if I were saying them and settling them down, perhaps you would make fun of me by saying that after all it's because of my kinship with me that my works and speech run away and aren't willing to stay where someone sets them down. But as it is now, the suppositions are yours, and some other gibe is needed, for they aren't willing to stay still for you, as it seems to you yourself as well. It seems to me, Socrates, that the things said are in need of nearly the same gibe. For as they're going around and not staying in the same place, I didn't put them up to it. Rather, you seem to me the Daedalus, since, as far as I'm concerned, they would stay as they were. Then probably, comrade, I've become more clever at the art than the man, insofar as he made only his own things not stay still, while I, besides my own things, also do this to those of others, as is likely. And in particular, for me the most exquisite part of the art is that I am involuntarily wise. For I would wish rather for the speeches to stay still for me and to be placed unmoved, than, in addition to the wisdom of Daedalus, to get the money of Tentatos. Get out the thesaurus here. But enough of this, since you seem to me to be fastidious. I myself will take an eager part in showing you may teach me about the pious, and don't get tired out before the end. See if it doesn't seem necessary to you that all the pious is just. Comrade, how would they know what a comrade is? You know what I mean? That's like a new term. Comrade. New age. To me it does. And so is all the just pious? Or is the pious all just? While the just is not all pious, but part of it is pious. Part something else? I don't follow, Socrates. What is being said? And yet you are no less younger than I am than you, are wiser. But, as I say, you are being fastidious because of your wealth of wisdom. Come, you blessed man, exert yourself, for it isn't even hard to understand what I'm saying. I am saying the opposite of what the poet composed who said, Zeus, the one who enclosed and planted all these things, you are not willing to speak of, for what dread is, there too is awe. Now I differ with the poet in this. Shall I tell you how? Quite. It doesn't seem to me that where dread is, there too is awe. For many seem to me to dread, when they dread diseases and poverty, and many other such things, but to be in awe of none of these things that they dread. Doesn't it seem so to you too? Quite so. But that where awe is, there too is dread. For doesn't anyone who feels awe and shame in some manner also fear and dread a reputation for villainy? Of course he dreads it. Then it is not correct to say, where dread is, there too is awe, but rather where awe is, there too is dread. Not, however, wherever dread is, everywhere is awe. For I suppose that dread extends further than awe. For awe is part of dread, just as odd is part of a number. Hence not wherever number is, there too is odd. But where odd is, there too is number. Surely you follow me now. Up to the tip of the nails is the intelligence of the self perceived. How has the self entered? This is being explained. As in the world, a razor must be part in its case. The barber's instrument bag is perceived as being within it, or as fire, which sustains this world, may be in its source, wood, etc. The predicate is to be repeated with fire, where it is perceived through friction. As a razor lies in one part of the case, or as fire lies in wood pervading it, so does the self reside in the body pervading it in general and particular way. There it is perceived as doing the functions of living as well as sight, etc. Therefore people do not see it, realize the self that has thus entered into the body and does the above functions. It may be urged that this statement, people do not see it, repudiates something for which there was no occasion, for the vision of it is not the topic under consideration. The answer to it is there is nothing wrong in it. For since the passages delineating the projection, etc. of the universe are meant as aids to the realization of the unity of the self, the vision of the self is the subject under consideration. Compare the Sruti. He transformed himself in accordance with each form. That form of his was for the sake of making him known. Now the reason is being given why people see it only as doing the functions of the vital force, etc., but not as a whole. For it is incomplete when it does the above functions. Why incomplete? When it does the functions of living, it is called the vital force. Because of doing this function only, and none other, the self is called the vital force, from the derivative meaning of the term. As one is called a cutter or a cook, therefore not combining the other aspects of doing other functions, it is incomplete. Similarly, when it speaks, the organ of speech or speaker, when it sees, the eye or seer, when it hears, the ear or listener, in the two sentences, when it does the function of living, it is the vital force. Dun 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 dun. And when it speaks, the organ of speech, the manifestation of its power of action is indicated. While the two sentences, when it sees, the eye, and when it hears, the ear, indicate the manifestation of its power of knowledge, for this is concerned with the name and form. The ear and the eye are the instruments of knowledge, which has the name and form as its material, for there is nothing to be known except these two, and the ear and the eye are the instrument to perceive them. And action has name and form as its auxiliaries and inheres in the vital force. The organ of speech is the instrument to manifest this action inherent in the vital force. Likewise, the self is called the hand, the foot, and the organs of excretion and generation, which are all suggested by the organ of speech. The whole differentiated universe is that much. It will be said later on, thus the universe indeed consists of three things, name, form, and action. And when it thinks the mind, that which thinks, the word mind also means the common instrument of the different manifestations of the power of knowledge. But here denotes the self, the agent who thinks. So, Quran 1964. We only descend by the command of your Lord. To him belongs whatever is before us, and whatever is behind us, and everything in between, and your Lord is never forgetful. He is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and everything in between. So worship him alone, and be steadfast in his worship. Do you know of anyone equal to him in his attributes? Oh. Yet, some people ask mockingly, after I die, will I really be raised to life again? Do such people not remember that we created them before, when they were nothing? By your Lord, O Prophet, we will surely gather them along with the devils, and then set them around hell on their knees. Then we will certainly begin by dragging out every group, the ones most defiant to the most compassionate. And we truly know best who is most deserving of burning it. There is none of you who will not pass over it. This is the decree your Lord must fulfill. Then we will deliver those who are devout, leaving the wrongdoers there on their knees. When our clear revelations are recited to them, the disbelievers ask the believers mockingly, which of the two of us is better in status and superior in assembly? Imagine, O prophet, how many peoples we have destroyed before them, who were far better in luxury and splendor. Say, O prophet, whoever is entrenched in misguidance, the most compassionate will allow them plenty of time, until, behold, they face what they are threatened with, either the torment of the hour. Only then will they realize who is worse in position and inferior in manpower. And Allah increases in guidance those who are rightly guided, and the everlasting good deeds are far better with your Lord in reward and in outcome. Have you seen, O prophet, the one who rejects our revelations yet boasts, I will definitely be granted plenty of wealth and children if there is an afterlife? Has he looked unto the unseen or taken a pledge from the most compassionate? Not at all. We certainly record whatever he claims and will increase his punishment extensively. And we will inherit what he boasts of, and he will come before us all by himself. They have taken our gods instead of Allah, seeking strength and protection through them. But no, those gods will deny the worship and turn against them. Do ye, O prophet, not see that? We have sent the devils against the disbelievers, constantly inciting them. So do not be in haste against them, for indeed we are closely counting down their days. Watch for the day we will gather the righteous before the most compassionate as an honored delegation, and drive the wicked to hell like a thirsty herd. Canto 34. Ninth Circle, Traitors, Fourth Ring, Judicia, Lucifer, Judas, Brutus, and Cassius, Center of the Universe, Passage from Hell, Ascent to the Surface of the Southern Hemisphere. Vexilla regi produnt inferni, toward us. Therefore look in front, said my master, if thou discernest him. As a mill that the wind turns seems from afar when a thick fog breathes, or when our hemisphere grows dark with night, such a structure then it seemed to me as I saw. Then, because of the wind, I drew me behind my leader. There was no other shelter. I was now, and with fear I put in his verse there, where the shades were wholly covered and showed through like a straw in glass. Some are lying, some stand erect, this on his head, and that on his soles. Another like a bow inverts his face to his feet. When we had gone so far forward that it pleased my master to show me the creature that had fair semblance, from before me he took himself and made me to stop, saying, Behold this, and behold the place where it is needful that the fortitude thou arm thee. How I became then chilled and hoarse. Ask it not, reader, for I write it not, because all speech would be little. I did not die, and I did not remain alive. Think now for thyself, if thou hast grain of wit, what I became deprived of one and the other. The emperor of the woeful realm, from his mid-breast, issued forth from the ice, and I matched better with a giant than the giants do with his arms. See now how great must be that whole which corresponds to such parts. If he was as fair as he now is foul, and against his maker lifted up his brow, surely may all tribulation proceed from him. Oh, how great a marvel it seemed to me when I saw 3 faces on his head. One in front, and one was red. The other were 2 that were joined to this above, the very middle of each shoulder. And they were joined together at the place of the crest, and the right seemed between white and yellow. The left was such to sight as those who come from where the Nile flows valleyward. Where the Nile flows valleyward. Beneath each came 4 2 great wings of size, befitting so huge a bird. Sails of the sea, never saw I such. They had no feathers, but their fashion was of a bat, and he was flapping them, so that 3 winds went forth from him whereby Cactus was all congealed. With 6 eyes he was weeping, and over 3 chins trickled the tears and bloody drivel. With each mouth he was crushing the centre with his teeth, in manner of a break, so that he thus was making 3 of them woeful. To the one in front of biting was nothing to the clawing, so that sometimes his spine remained all stripped of skin. That soul up there which has the greatest punishment, said the master, is Judas Iscariot, who has had his head within and plies his legs outside. The other 2 have their heads down. He who hangs from the black muzzle is Brutus. See how he writhes and says no word? And the other is Cassius, who seems so large-limbed. But the night is rising again, and now we must depart, for we have seen the whole. As was his pleasure, I clasped his neck, and he took opportunity of time and place. And when the wings were opened wide, he caught hold on the shaggy flanks. From shag to shag, he then descended between the bushy hair and the frozen crusts. When we were just where the thigh turns on the thick of the haunch, my leader, with effort and stress of breath, turned his head where he had his shanks, and clambered by the hair as a man that ascends, so that I thought to return again to hell. Cling fast hold, said the master, panting like one weary, for by such stairs it behoves to depart from so much evil. Then he came forth through the opening of a rock, and placed me upon its edge to sit, then stretched toward me his cautious step. I raised my eyes, and thought to see Lucifer as I had left him, and I saw him holding his legs upward. And if I then became perplexed, let the dull folk think it that see not what that point is that I had passed. Rise up, said the master, on thy feet. The way is long, and the road is difficult, and already the sun unto mid-tier returns. It was no hallway of a palace where we were, but a natural dungeon that had a bad floor and lack of light. Before I tear me from the abyss, said I when I had risen up, my master, speak a little to me to draw me out of terror. Where is the ice? And this one, how's he fixed thus upside down? And how in such short while has the sun from eve to morn made transit? And he to me, thou imaginest that thou still art on the other side of the centre where I laid hold on the hair of the guilty worm that pierces the world. On that side wast thou as so long as I descended. When I turned, thou didst pass the point to which from all parts whatever has weight is drawn. And thou art now arrived beneath the hemisphere opposite to that which the great dry land covers, and beneath whose zenith the man was slain who was born and lived without sin. Thou hast thy feet upon the little sphere which forms the other face of the Judicia. Here it is morning, when there it is evening, and he who made for us the stairway with his hair is still fixed even as he was before. Upon this side he fell down from heaven and the earth, which before was spread out here, through fear of him made of the sea a veil, and came to your hemisphere, and perchance to flee from him that land, which on this side appears, left here this empty space, and upward ran back. A place is there below, stretching as far from Beelzebub as his tomb extends, which not by sight is known, but by the sound of a rivulet that here descends along the hollow of a rock that it has gnawed with its course, that winds and little falls. My leader and I entered through that hidden way to return to the right world, and without care to have any repose, we mounted up, he first and I second, till through a round opening I saw of those beauteous things which heaven bears, and thence we came forth to see again the stars. I'll end one with George. To Marie, Gabrielle, Eleanor, Comte de la Moisson. Mount Vernon, September 1st, 1785. Sir, I have just received 7 very fine hounds, for which the Marquis de Lafayette informs me I am indebted to your goodness. I know not in what terms to acknowledge my gratitude for the obligation, but pray you to be assured that I have a due sense of the honor and feel in a particular manner the force of the goodness of Madame la Comtesse, to whom the Marquis adds, I am beholden for a favourite hound. I pray you to offer my best respects, and to make my acknowledgment of this favour acceptable to
Is that
her.
what they like?
At the same time, I beg you to assure her that her favourite shall not suffer under my care, but become the object of my particular attention. I have the honour, etc. Okay, we'll end it on David. Mr. President. Isaiah chapter 45. Thus said the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus, whose right hand I have holden, to subdue nations before him, and I will loose the lions of kings, to open for him the two levied gates, and the gates shall not be shut. I will go before thee, and make the crooked places straight. I will break in pieces the gates of brass, and cut in sunder the bars of iron. And I will give thee the treasures of darkness, and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, the Lord, which call thee by thy name, am God of Israel. For Jacob my servant's sake, and Israel mine elect, I have even called thee by thy name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. There is no God besides me. I girded thee, though thou hast not known me. That they may know from the rising of the sun, and from the west, and there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is none else. I form the light, and create darkness. I make peace, and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. Drop down, ye heavens, from above, and let the skies pour down righteousness. Let the earth open, and let them bring forth salvation, and let righteousness spring up together. I, the Lord, have created it. Woe unto him that striveth with his maker. Let the potsherds strive with the potsherds of the earth. Shall the clay say to him that fashioneth it, what makest thou, or thy work? He hath no hands. Woe unto him that saith unto his father, what begettest thou? Or to the woman, what hast thou brought forth? Thus saith the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, and his Maker, ask me of things to come concerning my sons, and concerning the work of my hands, command me. I have made the earth, and created man upon it. I, even my hands, have stretched out the heavens, and all their hosts have I commanded. I have raised him up in righteousness, and I will direct all his ways. He shall build my city, and he shall let go my captives, not for price nor reward, saith the Lord of hosts. Thus said the Lord, the labor of Egypt, and merchandise of Ethiopia, and of Sabaeans, men of stature shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine. They shall come after thee in chains. They shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely God is in thee. There is none else. There is no God. Verily thou art a God that hidest thyself, O God of Israel, the Savior. They shall be ashamed, and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. For thus said the Lord that created the heavens, God himself that formed the earth and made it. He hath established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. I am the Lord, and there is none else. I have not spoken in secret, in a dark place of the earth. I said not unto the seed of Jacob, seek ye me in vain. I, the Lord, speak righteousness. I declare things that are right. Assemble yourselves and come, draw near together, ye that are escaped of the nations. They have no knowledge that set up the wood of their graven image, and pray unto a God that cannot save. Tell ye and bring them near, yea, let them take counsel together, who hath declared this from ancient time, who hath hold it from that time. Have not I the Lord? And there is no God else beside me, a just God and a Savior. There is none beside me. Look unto me, and be ye saved, all the ends of the earth, for I am God, and there is none else. I have sworn by myself, the word is gone out of my mouth in righteousness, and shall not return, that unto me every knee shall bow, every tongue shall swear. Surely shall one say, in the Lord have I righteousness and strength. Even to him shall men come, and all that are incensed against him shall be ashamed. In the Lord shall all thy seed of Israel be justified, and shall glory.
I have more, just give me a minute. Okay, so that works out. Right there. Alright, so we're going to move on to Purgatory. Number 2 of the Divine Comedy here. We'll start with David. Chapter 46 of Isaiah. Baal boweth down, Nebo stoopeth, their idols were upon the beasts and upon the cattle. Your carriages were heavy loaden, they are a burden to the weary beast. They stoop, they bow down together, they could not deliver the burden, for themselves are gone into captivity. Hearken unto me, O house of Jacob, and all the remnant of the house of Israel, which are born by me from the belly, which are carried from the womb. And even to your old age I am he, and even to our hairs will I carry you. I have made, and I will bear, even I will carry, and I will deliver you. To whom will ye liken me, and make me equal, and compare me, that we may be like? They lavish gold out of the bag, and weigh silver in the balance, and hire a goldsmith, and he maketh a god. They fall down, yeah, they worship. They bear him upon his shoulder, they carry him, and set him in his place. And he standeth from his place, shall he not remove, yeah, one shall cry unto him, yet can he not answer, nor save him out of his trouble. Remember this, and shew yourselves men. Bring again to mind, O ye transgressors. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else. I am God, and there is none like me. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from the ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man that executeth my counsel from a far country. Yeah, I have spoken it, it will also bring it to pass. I have purposed it, I will also do it. Hearken unto me, ye stout-hearted, that are far from righteousness. I bring near my righteousness, it shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry, and I will place salvation in Zion for Israel my glory. Well, you can do what you need to do. until 1. Invocation to the Muses. Dawn of Easter on the shore of Purgatory. The 4 stars, Cato, the cleansing of Dante from the stains of hell. To run over better waters, the little vessel of my genius now hoisted sails, and leaves behind itself a sea so cruel. And I will sing of that second realm, where the human spirit is purified and becomes worthy to ascend to heaven. But here let dead poesy rise again. O holy muses, since yours I am, and here let Calliope somewhat mount up, accompanying my song with that sound of which the wretched Piquet felt the stroke, such that they prepared a pardon. A soft cover of oriental sapphire, which was gathered in the serene aspect of the air, pure even in the first circle, renewed delight to my eyes, soon as I issued forth from the dead air that had afflicted my eyes and my breast. The fair planted either way. I don't know why the mic's not working that well. I'm gonna have to figure that one out. Stadium over here. I'm not trying to do that at all. What else? What else? Am I missing something? Hello?
Okay,